Welcome everybody from Sparx Systems YouTube channel. It's great to have you here today. As usual, we're having a look at our urban parking system repository that we've developed in Enterprise Architect. And today we're going to look at how you might personalize Enterprise Architect to have a diagram that is perhaps your default diagram, and being able to personalize and create some places that are yours and that are quick and easy to get to. So I might hand over to you, Stephen. Welcome, and can you tell us a little bit about how you might be able to personalize Enterprise Architect to look at some of these things?
Thank you for the introduction, Scott, and always glad to be here. Yes, personalization, this is an important aspect of people's usage of a tool. There are a number of ways that you can personalize the appearance. So on the start ribbon, having a look at the start ribbon, you can see there's an appearance panel there that's talking about the full screen or visual style and all sorts of other things to do with views. But what we're talking about is actually model content. So you rightly said it. How do we personalize the content so that when we come into the application, then it focuses on the work that we've been done? So a repository will obviously be very large. You know, there could be anywhere between 2 or 3 people and 400 or 500 people working on the model at any one time. So let's have a look. I'm logged in at the moment. If we turn up look up at the top right hand corner of the application, you can see that I'm logged in there as Stephen Maguire. And on the start ribbon, so we have another number of ribbons across top of the application: start, design, layout. But on the start ribbon, we have at our fingertips all the kind of things that are useful for us to get started. Now, right to the left of the personal panel, which is this panel here, the second one from the end, we have a collaboration panel. So it's like we've got these two sets of things juxtaposed. So the tool has been built as a collaboration platform from the ground up, and we have a number of collaboration tools, but right beside that, we have the personal things here. So let's have a look at how that works. From left to right here, we've got my diary, working sets, and my diagram, my package, and the model builder. So let's have a look at my diary for a start. And you can see that's popped up a window over here in its default position, and we have all sorts of entries there in the diary. I might just put an entry in for today and say, remember team meeting with consultants at 12 noon. So, I'll put that one in there. It's misspelled that. I'll just correct that there. And that's going in. So that's the my diary. And that's my diary. It belongs to me, not to everyone else. And it's just a place that I can record things that I just would have jotted down on a piece of paper or in some other tool. But having it right here next to the model is incredibly useful. So that's my diary. Working sets. I'm going to click on working sets here. And what you can see now is that over on the left-hand side, again in its default position, in the focus window, we've popped up these working sets. Now be aware, Scott, that there are other panels. We've got, model views there, quick find, all sorts of other things. But the working set has opened up, and we have here 2 working sets. So these are things that I've put into a group that I want to open up. So they can be diagrams and elements and searches, matrices, all sorts of things. But they're the things that I want to be opened up at a particular time. So I work on a number of different aspects of this application. So I'm working on some deployment things, and I'm working on some requirement things as well. And you can see here that this top working set, UPM, project, analysis, and design. So let's just click on that, and we can say open working set, and watch what happens. So there was some magic there, and maybe
it's opened all the diagrams, and
yeah, we've got our class diagram opened, our test data that we were looking at, our component model, our deployment model, find in project, and some things that we were looking at, this near field communication system referred to as NFC there. And that's brought up some things about Sprint 1 there, some requirements that are involved in it.
Working sets established for different roles that you do within the company. So you might have a working set with everything set up for testing, and another working set set up with everything for requirements, and then another working set up for reporting and documentation with various windows open that you need.
Yeah, exactly, Scott. So this one here, is one for requirement specification. I can just say, look, leave the home open there, and I'll just say close all except home there. And now I'll open up this working set. So imagine some time has passed during the morning and I finished the work that I was doing on the analysis design. And I now realize it's getting a little bit later and I've got some work I need to do this for a meeting. I simply do the same thing, right mouse click, open working set. And again, all these items have popped up. We've got a find in project. That was something that I wanted to save because there were some things in here that I wanted to be able to go back to and look at them. We had a relationships matrix there set up with the relationship between the requirements and use cases. So again, another useful thing, a parking meter use case diagram and the relationship between requirements and the use cases that are implementing those requirements.
And so if you wanted to add another diagram to that working set, how do you do that?
Yeah, very easy, Scott. Right mouse click, remember that. The right mouse click is your friend. Underneath here, we've said, we can do open the working, we can create a working set, we can create a new one, create working set from open diagrams. So if I happen to have a whole lot of diagrams open, I could say, hey, I've stopped, finished working on this, but I need to go to a meeting. But I want to come back and, reopen that up. So I could just say, look, create that from the open diagrams or open files. But here we've got the edit there, and you can see, that there are other.
So if you wanted to add the home diagram, you could just click the checkbox.
Yeah, we just click add there and get diagrams, matrix, searches, all sorts of things. So when I hit a diagram there, it will bring up, this model here, and I can say, look, there was a research diagram that I like the look of, this one here, and I can just simply add that one, and that's going to go in there as well. I can remove things as well from there, so it's easy to be able to remove those, not include them. So very, very powerful, Scott. Let's leave that for the moment and we'll go on to these other items here. So that was my diary and the working sets. The next thing I want to do, Scott, is show how I can personalize the diagram, the default diagram that comes up when I open Enterprise Architect. So let's have a look at this. I can click down this My Diagram and I can look at this, open my diagram. It hasn't been set at the moment. So I'm going to set the current or choose a default. I can set the current as a default, but I don't want that particular diagram. So I'll choose default there. And now I'll browse through these models until I come to the one that I'm interested in here. So let's have a look at this conceptual model there. Got logical model and things. I'm going to look at the structural models and it's going to choose a diagram that I want. So let's have a look at that. And objects there, nothing under there. Parking meter location model. Let's choose that one. I'll say OK to that. Now, Scott, what will happen is if I close this application and then reopen it. So I'm just going to close that model now, close the project, and now I'm going to reopen it there. And let's have a look what happens. So I'm logged in as myself again. So I'll do that. And you can see now that model, the one that I chose,
opened your default
into
the parking meter location model.
Yeah, exactly. So very useful thing, Scott. And now if I was to move on to another model, say, I looked at this model here and, maybe I went into that one's fine. Now, if I went, okay, I want to get my diagram up, open my diagram, even if that was closed now, let's close that and go back and say, open my diagram, you'll see that will open my model diagram. So that is the one that will open up by default, and that's a personal thing. You can see it's on that personal panel, and I can open it up at any time as well. So it's my, it's my kind of home diagram, if you like, my go-to diagram. The other thing that's on here is my package, and I can, look at this, and I could say, open my default package, set a default package. So I'm going to close all these things in the project browser for a minute, and I'll select the package that I want as my default package. Again, open my default package, set my default package, pops up on another monitor. I'll just drag that across here. And the moment it's set at none, and I can say, look, what is the package that I really want? And I'm really interested in strategic models. And I'll say, look, I'm interested in, this org chart here. So I'll say okay to that. And now, that's my package. And let's just close the application again and close the project there. And let's go in and see what, when we log back into this urban parking system. Let's type that. And, you know, you can see now that it's opened up.
It's opened the org chart as the default.
Up. Yeah. So let's have a look and see what Jenny has got. So I've got Jenny logged in, and I'm just going to bring Jenny's application onto the screen here. Let's have a look at a couple of other items. So Jenny's got, you know, my diagram there. Let's have a look at what she had. She hasn't got anything set there at the moment. So let's have a look at two other items, my Kanban and my Gantt. So they're the other two things that are on the personal panel there. Let's have a look at my Kanban. So if I click on that, you can see that pops up a Kanban diagram. Now, you might have a number of projects going at any one time. You might have different Kanbans even within a project. But if someone's working on a particular project and their focus might be on a particular Kanban diagram, this is a really useful way to be able to get straight to that diagram. And of course, as always, I can, you know, find that one in the project browser. So, you know, find in the browser there, and that can show me where it is. It's under product management. So that's a very useful thing, Scott. The other thing is a Gantt chart. So my Gantt chart, again, I can click on that, and you can see now that a Gantt chart has popped up. And this brings the point, Scott, that there are so many pieces of functionality in the tool that you can use to manage projects. And here we can see all sorts of things going on with the tasks that Jenny's been assigned. She's, you know, got this past task here as a business analyst about this CTV, and that's popped up onto the other screen. Let's just drag that over here. You can see the description is resolve the rules and policies for CCTV video content distribution. So she's completed 65% of that. You know, the end date is the 27th, so she needs to start doing some more work to get that finished. And we've got some allocated time and, you know, those things. So we could use some other model features if I, you know, as a project manager saying, hey, Jenny, you better get on your bike and get this finished. And you can see that progress bar is showing that there very, very simply visually. And Scott, the red one is showing an item that is actually overdue. And so I can click on that, and it's an overdue one. And, you know, I can click on here and say, you know, include features and tasks in 7 days, completed change view to overdue items, shown in red. So, you know, that's there, and it's quite obvious what's going on. So lots of options there for you to look at, but very, very useful display. Again, my Gantt chart, and you can see this is Jenny's one, it's not mine. And, you know, Jenny had her Kanban. If I was back in my application, I would have a different set. So that's some information, some ideas about personalizing the application to show content. And there's one other thing here, the model builder, and, you know, we can say show as a dialogue, show the builder on the main page. And Scott, this is the builder that comes up, you know, when you create a diagram. So just to refresh people's memory about that.
The perspective,
Yeah. So I don't have permission to perform this operation. So let's you know, go back to my application and, you know, show that in the model builder. So if I was going to look here and say, look, I want to create another org chart diagram, you can see that pops up there in the builder page, central inside the canvas. But if I was to change that, I could make that show the builder as a dialogue, and, you know, then when I went new diagram, it would pop up in this thing. So that's useful. I can also say, look, show that builder when on startup, so I can do that as well. So that covers off the way that you can personalize the content within Enterprise Architect. And remember, there are many other ways that you can change the appearance and set other preferences and things, including visual style and views and all sorts of other preferences.
But I can imagine if there are hundreds of diagrams, but there's one that you work on every single day, then it would be really helpful to set that as the default. So every time you load up Enterprise Architect, you know what diagrams are going to be there, and your default will be there to start working every day. So
Exactly, Scott.
well, I'd like to thank everyone for joining us today. It's been great to see a few features, how you can set up my diagram, my package, how you can set up your own working sets with different diagrams and reports and matrices that are all brought up on screen. And it's easy to click and switch between those. And you've got My Diary, so you can jot down comments and details about the project that you're working on. So it's been really good to see how all of this is managed, including the Kanban and Gantt charts within Enterprise Architect. As always, if you've liked this video, we encourage you to like, comment, and subscribe. We always love your feedback, and we love to grow the Sparx systems ecosystem on YouTube, so we appreciate your support. Once again, thanks, Stephen, for your expertise and your help today. It's been great to learn a little bit about some of the personalization features in Enterprise Architect. Thanks so much.
Always a pleasure, Scott.